it is difficult to see how the legend, the Queen of the Skies, makes her last flight. But Lufthansa, against all logic, keeps running 747s for decades to come. Frankly speaking, today there are fewer than 39 active passenger 747s, and 27 of them are operated by Lufthansa. That's about 70%. I've prepared some facts for you. Japan Airlines, JAL, formerly the largest operator of 747s, retired them before 2011, shifting long-haul work to the twin-engine 777. Singapore Airlines, the first operator of the 747-400 in 1989, made the Megatop's final flight in 2012. Air France held a farewell ceremony for the Jumbo in January 2016. Ending almost 45 years of using the Jumbo jet. They received their first 747 in 1970. United Airlines and Delta Airlines, the last two US operators, simultaneously completed their final commercial flights with the 747 in the fourth quarter of 2017. Qantas Australia retired its Jumbos in July 2020, conducting a symbolic farewell flight with a kangaroo figure in the sky. British Airways, Europe's largest operator of 747s, announced in July 2020 that it had made the heartbreaking decision to retire its entire fleet of 31 Boeing 747-400s ahead of schedule due to the pandemic. The airline had been using the 747 for almost 50 years, since the day of Boeing, and had planned to keep them until 2024, but the crisis forced it to say goodbye earlier. So the era of Jumbo is fading away. But why were ultra-high capacity aircraft created? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, it is vital for me. To understand why Lufthansa keeps the 747 while others retire it, we first need to see why gigantic jets were built at all. First of all, it's the idea of large hubs. In other words, a person flies from their local city, for example to London. Then they fly to New York, and from there take a local flight, for example to Allentown. It means that the country has several large international entry points and a bunch of smaller airports that serve domestic logistics or at best receive flights from neighboring countries. First commercial jetliners like the 707 and DC-8 made long trips faster and cheaper. Passenger numbers grew every year, often by double digits. Older planes simply could not carry enough people on the busiest roads. This is where the 747 idea came from. Airports like Heathrow, JFK, John F. Kennedy International Airport, Narita and Frankfurt were already jam-packed. If you cannot add more takeoffs and landings, you make each flight bigger. One large flight can move a peak-hour crowd better than two small ones. Rules and technology also pushed manufacturers toward big four-engine jets. In that era, two-engine aircraft hadn't yet proven their reliability for many long over-water roads. Regulators often required 3 or 4 engines to be present. Engines themselves were weaker than today's General Electric GE90 or Rolls-Royce 10XWB. So to lift 350–500 people far and safely, 4 engines were the practical choice. There was another profitable stream – cargo transport. The 747's wide body has big lower holes, so one flight could earn from passengers and freight, very useful across the Atlantic and to Asia. Boeing even planned for a cargo future from day one. They put the cockpit on the upper deck, so the nose could open as a big cargo door. The famous hump was a practical cargo idea first. The upper deck seating area came later. Incidentally, we are currently observing that this calculation has proven successful. Although supersonic passenger aircraft have failed, the market has still shifted towards smaller aircraft. However, the big number of cargo transportation relies on the Boeing 747F. Currently, there are about 350-400 active cargo aircraft of this series. And let me remind you that there are fewer than 39 passenger versions of this aircraft left. And of course, prestige matters. Flag carriers like Pan Am wanted a national flagship. Flying the biggest airliners signaled the status and technical strength of the USA. Put together: big hubs, full airports, older engines, rules, and extra cargo revenue. Very large jets made sense for that time. But why such a wonderful aircraft lost its meaning now? I hope you understand that the reason is not regulators, pollution or noise. If 4-engine double-deck planes still made sense, we would build a new one. We would use General Electric G9X or Rolls-Royce 10XWB engines, the ones on the 777X and A350. It could have from 600 to 800 seats, maybe close to 1000 in a tight layout. I'll say even more. Per seat, it could be quieter and burn less fuel. Regulators would be happier, airlines would save money. Even within the 747 family progress was made. The 747-8 burns about 50% less fuel than the 747-400, around 3.5 liters per 100 passenger kilometers versus 4.27. However, this still means roughly 30–35% more fuel burn per seat than the Airbus A350-900, around 2.4 liters per 100 passenger kilometer. Lufthansa is well aware of this gap. The oncoming Boeing 777X is expected to offer 25–30 better fuel efficiency per seat than the 747-8, while keeping roughly the same capacity, 400 seats. But that's not the point. The problem isn't tech. The problem is the market. We don't live in a pure hub-and-spoke world anymore. Today, many roads work point-to-point. You don't have to pass through a mega hub every time. You can board in a regional city and fly directly to another city. Not Milan, Frankfurt, Tokyo. Think Bologna, Fukuoka. On a smaller, efficient twin. What made this possible? Simply because after the arrival of Airbus A380, ETOPS rules changed significantly. Previously, twin-engine aircraft were allowed to be at most 1 hour of flight from a reserve airport. But now this number has grown to more than 6 hours. This means that most routes can now be flown directly. With more direct flights available, passengers value frequency and no connections more than one giant trip through a hub. 2 or 3 mid-size flights a day are better than one huge departure for both passengers and airlines. Passengers can choose their flight time, and airlines take on less risk. But why don't very large jets work in point-to-point? Demand is spread out. You don't have 800 or 1000 people ready at one time. You have 300, 400 hours a day in different time slots. If you wait to fill one mega flight, you lose frequency, and you lose passengers. Frequency beats size. 2 or 3 medium-sized flights a day fill the peaks and the valleys. Sales are smoother, the risk of empty seats is lower, ground time is longer for a giant. Boarding 600 plus people takes longer, bags takes longer, cleaning and catering takes longer. One delay blocks hundreds of passengers at once. Infrastructure is a limit. Not every airport has gates and stands for this size. Some runways and taxiways aren't related for it. Even if you can land, turnarounds are slow and expensive. If you look closely, there are only a few routes in the world that truly need a Boeing 747 or an Airbus A380. Emirates currently has 63% of all A380s. And not least, they keep them for PR purposes. Lufthansa operates 70% of all passenger Boeing 747s. The real need of ultra-high-capacity aircraft is somewhere around 100 planes. That isn't enough to keep building new aircraft of this size profitably. Now, let's return to the existing fleet of Boeing 747s. A 747-8 burns more fuel per seat than a modern twin. Think roughly 3.5 liter per 100 passenger kilometer for a 747-8 versus 2.4 for an A350-900 or 2.5 for a 787-9. Same range, similar seats, but the twin is cheaper to fly. 4 engines mean more maintenance, more shop visits, more parts, more inspections. Even if each engine is smaller, 4 are still costlier than 2 per flight hour. Per seat, new twins are quieter and cleaner. Many airports provide lower fees for lower noise and emissions. Night restrictions also hurt older jets more. Twins are more flexible in the network. They turn faster on the ground. Airlines can swap them between routes easily. They also fit more airports. A350 or 787 are code E almost everywhere, while a 747-8 code F needs specific gates and stands. Even more, most passenger 747-400s are 20-30 years old. Heavy D checks are expensive and take the jet out of service for weeks. Cabins also need full refits to match today's standards. But resale values are low. Big money in an old airframe rarely pays back. Lufthansa remains one of the few carriers that continues to actively operate the legendary 4-engine Boeing 747 on passenger flights. As for 2025, Lufthansa's fleet includes 19 Boeing 747-8 Intercontinental airliners, making the company the largest operator of the Queen of the Skies in the world. In addition, Lufthansa still uses a limited number of older Boeing 747-400s, 8 active aircraft with an average age of about 25 years. Lufthansa was the launch customer for the passenger version of the 747-8 and has a long history of operating various modifications of the 747 since 1970. They received the first production Boeing 747-8 Intercontinental in May 2012. And also, in June 2014, Boeing delivered the 1500 747, also a 747-8i for Lufthansa. Despite the high operating cost of 4-engine aircraft, Lufthansa has concrete reasons for delaying the retirement of the Boeing 747-8 and even 747-400. Delivery delays of replacement aircraft. The airline planned to phase out older types, for example 747-400 or A340, sooner, but faced a problem. Boeing delayed deliveries of its new long-haul 787 Dreamliner and 777X. As a result, Lufthansa had to keep flying existing 747-400s and A340s longer to cover long-haul network needs. According to Lufthansa, by 2024, its fleet was supposed to include 41 new Boeing 787-9 and 777X aircraft, but those deliveries slipped. So on many routes, the 747-400 and A340 remained in service in place of the new jets. In short, manufacturer delays effectively extended the jumbo's life at Lufthansa. High seat count and capacity demand. The Boeing 747 remains hard to replace on routes with very high passenger demand. Lufthansa uses the 747-8 just on these routes. In slot-contained hubs, for example Frankfurt, New York JFK, a large aircraft lets the airline carry more people per movement, using limited slots more efficiently. In some countries and cities there are regulatory or infrastructure limits on flights frequency, so one heavy 747 can be optimal instead of two smaller jets. This strategy makes sense on key trunk routes in Lufthansa's global network. For example, from Frankfurt to New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, Singapore, Seoul, Johannesburg and others, where demand is consistently strong. First-class product and brand differentiation. Lufthansa positions itself as a premium carrier, and on certain long-haul routes, the percentage of first-class and a large business-class cabin is critical. The 747-8 is deliberately configured with fewer total seats than the 747-400, 364 versus 371, to allow a much larger premium cabin, 8 first-class and 80 business-class seats, the highest premium count of any Lufthansa's aircraft, even more than the A380's 78 business seats. This matters for retaining high-yield corporate clients who expect a top-tier product. Lufthansa's leadership notes that both passengers and crews love the 747 for its comfort and special atmosphere. The upper deck hump with its cozy cabin is a unique advantage that twin-engine types can't replicate. As I already said, Lufthansa's Boeing 747-8 has 88 premium seats. That's 8 in first class and 80 in business class. The regular A350-900 without the new allergic cabin has only 48 seats in business class. The allergic A350 has even fewer, 4 in first class and 38 in business class. This means the 747-8 carries between 83 and 110% more premium seats. According to IATA, premium tickets cost about 5 times more than economy on average. So those extra 40 to 46 premium seats can make a big difference to revenue, especially on routes where flight numbers are limited, like Frankfurt to New York. Belly cargo capability and revenue. Another argument for the 747 is its exceptional cargo capacity. The 747's fuselage let two standard LD containers sit side by side in the lower holds, so it can carry significantly more freight in the belly than smaller twin-engine jets. On many long-haul routes, especially to Asia, North America and Africa, cargo contributes a meaningful share of revenue. Using the Boeing 747 gives Lufthansa extra profit from freight without mounting a separate freighter flight. A fully loaded passenger 747-8 can carry up to around 20-25 tons of cargo, in addition to passengers. Something smaller twins like the A350-900 or 787-9 simply can't match in volume. Boeing's oncoming 777-9 is expected to preserve similar belly cargo space while burning roughly 30% less fuel, making it the logical successor of this role. For example, flights to industrial centers, China, India, or major US hubs are consistently full with both people and freight, goods, mail and else. The 747-8's long range, around 14,000 kilometers, allows the airline to operate the longest sectors at full load, without sacrificing cargo. For Lufthansa, this is the key profitability level. When fully loaded with passengers and cargo, the jumbos can be very profitable, despite higher fuel burn, because it carries more paying tonnage per departure. Maximizing ROI on already owned assets. The Boeing 747-8s are relatively young, delivered from 2012 to 2015, and Lufthansa bought them on attractive terms. As launch customer, Lufthansa ordered 747-8i in 2006 with list price of $5.5 billion. But after large discounts, the effective price was about 3.2, approximately 160 million per aircraft. The airline aims to work off that investment over the aircraft's full useful life. Most Lufthansa 747-8s have not yet reached even half of their design life, so it is economically sensible to keep operating them, especially with lease or depreciation already partly paid down. Even if new types promise lower operating costs, a properly deployed 747-8 can still deliver solid returns. From a capital cost perspective, each 747-8 seat costs Lufthansa around $449,000, around 5% less than the equivalent figure on the Airbus A380. On dense roads with high load factors, this makes the jumbo competitive, despite higher fuel burn. As Lufthansa notes, while newer jets have lower maintenance and fuel costs, on dense roads with strong demand, the 747-8 provides excellent ROI, return on investment. In other words, when the jumbo flies full, its seat cost can be fully competitive. Prestige and the emotional factor. While not purely economic, Lufthansa has repeatedly emphasized its special attachment to the Boeing 747 as part of the brand's story. Having the 747 in the fleet sets the airline apart and supports its image. Many customers actively choose 747 flights for the unique Queen of the Skies experience. CEO put it plainly: "Our crews love the 747, our passengers love it. At Lufthansa, we are now looking at another modernization of our 747-8s across all classes, so this aircraft can fly well into the next decade." In that sense, keeping the 747 is also about the soul of the Lufthansa brand, which has long been associated with jumbo jets. Routes for Boeing 747. All Lufthansa passenger 747s are based in Frankfurt, FRA. From there, the jumbos run long-haul flights on several continents. In the 2024 schedule, the 747-400 and 747-8 together cover about 20 destinations worldwide. Most flights go to North America and Asia, with a few South America and Africa. Map 1. 747-400. On screen you can see the regular 747-400 routes from Frankfurt in 2024. These show up in a steady pattern, often once per day. In North America, the 747-400 flies to New York, JFK, Washington Dulles, Toronto, Vancouver and Houston. In Asia, it serves Bengaluru, Seoul, Delhi and Mumbai. Demand on these routes is strong enough to fill a large aircraft throughout the year. For example, flights to New York, JFK, are operated twice a day, and one of these flights, LH400-401, is scheduled especially for the 747-400. In Canada, Toronto and Vancouver are typically seasonal peaks when summer traffic is high. Map 2. 747-8. Now you are seeing the 747-8 network for 2024. The newer 8 version covers a wider set of long-haul routes. In North America, it flies daily to Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, Mexico City, Chicago, Newark, and it also covers one of the 2 daily Washington IAD flights. In Asia, it serves Tokyo, Haneda, Singapore, Shanghai, seasonally alternating with the A340-600, and shared with the 400 versions Seoul and Barnaul. In Africa, the 747-8 operates Frankfurt-Johannesburg. In South America, Lufthansa uses the 747-8 to São Paulo and Buenos Aires. These are long 11–13-hour sectors that need both range and a lot of seats. The choice of these 747 routes comes from a mix of factors: very high passenger demand, often with a large premium share, strong cargo volumes, and the right infrastructure at the destination airports. Almost all of these cities are major international hubs or megacities, where Lufthansa can fill a 364-seat 747-8 without trouble. For example, flights to New York, Los Angeles and Singapore draw many business travelers and tourists, and the 747's belly holds are often packed with cargo, which makes the flight even more profitable. In Mexico City, MEX, and Johannesburg, GNB, elevation also matters. These airports sit high above sea level, the air is thinner, and full-weight takeoff is harder. In such conditions, the 4-engine 747 provides stronger thrust and performance compared to twin-engine types, which adds confidence in safety and schedule reliability. Finally, there is a historical element. Lufthansa has flown the Jumbo to places like Tokyo and Johannesburg for many years. And these services are part of the airline's identity, which also supports demand. Many aviation geeks and loyal customers choose the 747 on purpose. Why Boeing 747 and not Airbus A380? But you may ask me, why Boeing 747, not Airbus A380? It seems more suitable for super heavy roads. Lufthansa's Airbus A380 has 509 seats. At first, 78 business, 52 premium economy and 371 economy. To keep even an 85% load factor, the airline must sell about 433 seats on every flight. Outside peak season, that's hard to do. The Boeing 747-8 in Lufthansa's layout has 364 seats, so it is much easier to fill year-round. This reduces the risk of flying with hundreds of empty seats and allows the airline to run more frequent flights, instead of relying on one giant departure. Infrastructure matters too. Both aircraft are Code F, but the A380 needs special two-level boarding bridges for quick turnarounds. A normal turnaround of an A380 takes about 90–110 minutes. The 747-8 can use standard single-level gates, making it easier to operate at airports that don't have full A380 facilities. Cargo is also critical. The passenger 747-8 can carry 36 LD3 containers in the lower deck, 20 in the front hold and 16 in the rear. After passenger baggage, about 26 LD3 positions remain for freight, roughly 115.9 cubic meters. The A380 can fit 38 LD3 containers, but with a full passenger load, around 16 go to baggage, leaving about 22 LD3 for cargo. In real operations, the 747-8 often carries more belly cargo than the A380 on long-haul flights. Range and weight also play a role. The 747-8i has a range of 7,730 miles, about 14,310 kilometers. Wingspan is 68.4 meters and maximum takeoff weight, MTOW, of about 447 tons. The A380-800 can fly 8,000 miles, about 15,200 kilometers. Wingspan 79.8 meters. MTOW about 575 tons. That higher empty weight on the A380 often eats into its usable cargo capacity on the longest sectors. The lighter 747-8 can keep both passengers and cargo at maximum load, even on 14,000 kilometers roads like Frankfurt-Buenos Aires or Frankfurt-Singapore. Fuel burn is another factor. The 747-8 burns about 3.5 liters per 100 passenger kilometer on long-haul flights. The modern Airbus twin A350-900 does about 2.4, but the A380 is only competitive when it's nearly full. If the A380 has dozens or hundreds of empty seats, its fuel burn per seat rises much faster than on smaller aircraft. Two final numbers show the logic. Lufthansa has 8 A380s, with 509 seats each, and 19 747-8s, with 364 seats each. On roads that reliably fill 350–420 seats per day and carry significant belly cargo, the 747-8 offers steadier economics, more flexible scheduling, and better compatibility with the global 747 cargo system. That's why for Lufthansa it's 747, not A380. The future of the Boeing 747 at Lufthansa – plans and statements. Nevertheless, Lufthansa's management has clearly outlined its plans to retire older 4-engine aircraft over the next few years. According to the company's report, all Boeing 747-400s, along with Airbus A340-300s and A340-600s, will be withdrawn from service by 2028. This will mark the end of an era. By the late 2020s, Lufthansa will no longer have any of the classic jumbo 747-400, currently 8 units, or A340s, about 27 combined across Lufthansa and Swiss. The decision is driven by simple economics. These aircraft are expensive to operate and outdated, while replacements are already on the way in the form of a new A350s, 787s and 777Xs. Once deliveries of new aircraft stabilize, Lufthansa will systematically phase out all 747-400s and A340s, many of which are already in reserve or flying limited schedules. The newer Boeing 747-8s, however, are a different story. Lufthansa plans to keep them in service at least until the middle 2030s. In 2023, CEO publicly stated that the 747-8 would remain in the fleet well into the 2030s and would be upgraded across all service classes. This commitment is backed by action. Lufthansa has launched its long-haul cabin renewals program, called Allergies, which will introduce entirely new first, business, premium economy and economy products to existing aircraft. An official Lufthansa Group press release confirms that the Boeing 747-8 will be refitted with allergy seating in every class. Lufthansa Technik will handle the work, starting in 2024. First upgrading the main lower deck with new business and economy cabins, then moving to upper deck and first class. This is an unprecedented investment in the 747 fleet, signaling that Lufthansa intends to operate them for at least another decade to cover the cost of modernization. Between 2025 and 2030, the 747-8 will remain a core part of Lufthansa's premium offering, alongside a small reactivated fleet of Airbus A380s, brought back temporarily to meet increased demand on some routes. In a sense, Lufthansa's strategy balances the gradual retirement of older 747-400s with the maximum possible service life for the newer 747-8s. The airline recognizes that there is currently no direct, full equivalent replacement for the Queen of the Skies. The 777X is slightly smaller, and the A380 is larger, but less versatile. As a result, the 747-8 will continue flying under Lufthansa colors for many years, preserving the airline's unique status as a special operator of jumbo jets. Aviation analysts note that Lufthansa is currently the best chance for travelers to experience a passenger 747 in the 2020s, as most other carriers have already retired them. Of course, in the longer term, the 747-8 will also be retired, most likely replaced by new Boeing 777Xs or Airbus A350-1000. But until then, Lufthansa will remain one of the last strongholds of the jumbo era. As the airline's top management put it, the 747 is part of Lufthansa's DNA, and they are proud to showcase this remarkable aircraft for many more years. This is a rare case in aviation, where cold financial logic aligns with love for a legend, the Boeing 747, which continues to earn both revenue and passenger hearts in the skies of the 21st century. Nevertheless, what will change for us, the passengers, when the 747-8s are retired? Or the A350 be able to provide the same experience and level of comfort as these aviation legends? Perhaps they will even be better in some ways. The Airbus A350 has a composite fuselage that allows to a lower cabin altitude of about 6,000 feet or 1,800 meters, compared to roughly 8,000 feet or 2,400 meters on older 747s. This means higher humidity and more comfortable pressure levels, so passengers feel less tired and dry on long-haul flights. The Boeing 777X, while built with a metal fuselage, uses an advanced air conditioning system that also maintains a 6,000-foot cabin altitude and humidity levels similar to the 787 and A350. In this respect, these new twins are on par with the A380, which was also known for improved cabin air quality. Noise and ride comfort will also improve. Both the 777X and A350 are much quieter than the 747, thanks to modern engines and aerodynamics. The A350 is famous for having an exceptionally quiet cabin, with noticeably lower noise levels than the 747. The 777X will also feature Boeing's smooth ride technology from the 787, an active turbulence damping system that helps deliver a more stable flight even in choppy air. Cabin space is another upgrade. The 777X fuselage is several inches wider than the 747's, allowing for wider seats. Engineers have thinned the sidewalls, expanded the overhead bins, and created more open space in the cabin. The 777X will also have the largest windows of any jet in this class, about 15–20% larger than those on the 747. Positioned higher, so passengers can see the horizon more easily. The A350 also offers large panoramic windows, a bright and airy cabin, and modern LED lighting. On the 777X, lighting will even include sky ceiling effects that can simulate a starry night. Finally, onboard technology will be a leap forward. Both the A350 and 777X will feature the latest in-flight entertainment systems, full Wi-Fi connectivity, and highly customizable lighting environments. In first class, the 777X will debut private suites that rival and in some ways exceeded the luxurious offerings once introduced on the A380. Comfort in the next generation of aircraft will no longer depend on the size of the jet, but on innovation, design, and passenger-focused details. What do you think? Of course, write your thoughts in the comments. I would be interested to hear your opinion. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It is vital for me. By the way, if you have any suggestions for collaboration, I've left my contact details in the description. Now let's meet in one of these videos. You are sure to find something interesting. See you soon!